Hello, and welcome to Redeeming the Time podcast with your host, Eric Escamilla.
Hello, everybody. I'm Eric Escamilla, the host of Redeeming the Time, and today we finally made it.
Yes, we did.
We have Tesla, and Tesla, I'll have to go ahead and tell me your last name again.
Briones.
Tesla Briones. And Tesla, can we start maybe just kind of where you're from, kind of grew up, kind of that little bit of a history?
Yeah. So I'm from North Platte, Nebraska. I grew up there from 91 till about 2010. I lived on a little dirt road growing up with my grandparents. My mom kind of had me young, so
How old was your mom?
she was 18 when she had me. So I lived with her in a little trailer when I was a baby, and then she gave me to my grandparents, and they raised me from the age of 1, I believe, till I was a teenager. So
So kind of your
my whole life, really.
grade school, middle school
Yep.
was in North Platte.
Yeah, I moved around a little bit here and there. Um, I went to middle school in Glenwood, Iowa for a little while, but mostly in North Platte. So,
What led to Glenwood, Iowa?
well, uh, my grandparents thought I needed a change of scenery from being younger, and just the escapades I got into. They wanted to move me out of town for a while.
And as we were talking, we've had a chance to sit and visit a little bit, and you kind of told me your story. It seems like these escapades started young.
Yeah.
And of course, a lot of the questions and the things that we're going to talk about is going to be kind of what the interest is of our audience, right?
Right.
And the goal here is to have a story that will help other people that they can relate to.
Mhm.
Um, so let's dive into it.
Okay.
Um, so it sounds like around the age of 12.
Mhm.
It when I say this, it's not to be offensive, but it doesn't sound like it was the normal upbringing
No.
of at the age of 12.
Mhm.
I have a 15-year-old daughter, so I know
Yeah.
that 12 years old was still about nurturing, growth and teaching them.
Yeah.
How did yours kind of start at 12?
Well, my parents weren't in the picture very much. My mom would come back and visit every summer, uh, but my dad was always gone. He would come back and forth into my life every once in a while. My life with my grandparents was okay. I mean, it was good. Don't get me wrong. Like I didn't want for anything really. Um, my grandpa was an iron worker for the Boilermakers Union, and my grandma was a stay-at-home mom. Stay-at-home grandma. But she took care of me, and then when my dad came back to town, um, and this isn't to like bash on him or anything like that. It just
Not at all.
where he was at in his life, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'd always wanted a connection with my dad, and I went to the place where he was staying one day, and they were all drinking. It was a lot of older people, way older than me, of course, but in their like 50s, 60s. My dad was in his maybe 20s, 30s, and he was on drugs really bad back then. And we were in the room, and he was sitting there, and he put some powder on on a plate, or I think it was a mirror or something like that. And I asked him what it was, and he just kind of told me what to do, and I did it.
Not knowing,
Not
well,
really
obviously,
knowing what it
yeah,
is, you know what I
kind of,
mean? But just knowing that it was, I think in my mind, it was like a bonding thing for us because I never got to see him very often, and this was a way for me to be closer to him, just to kind of follow suit with what he was telling me to do. So it was, it's where it started at, and
yeah.
he gave me I think it was a Miller Lite beer, and told me that I could chase the the drip with that. And so that was the first time I tried cocaine.
And so, you mentioned how you never needed or wanted things kind of type thing from your grandparents. You were taken care of well.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that comes into my mind is that material things isn't what we were looking for, right?
No.
We were looking for the love, the care, those types of things. Because I've been there,
Yeah.
and that's something that is important for our audience to immediately hear, is understand that our kids don't need to be in all these sports. Our kids don't need the video games. Our kids don't need material things. They need our time.
The best thing I had growing up was my grandmother, and my grandpa, because not only were they there
Excuse me.
for me, they, my grandma was always emotionally available and just there for me when I needed her most. And the way that she loved was unconditional. And as a young kid, that abandonment feeling was very profound. Like, I had a lot of issues with not wanting to go to school as a young child. Like, kindergarten was really hard because I had been through so much since being little, with my parents leaving and not coming back for me at that time was what I thought, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And not coming back when they say they would come back.
So there's a different emotional search from and what our grandparents give us over our parents.
Oh, yeah.
And that's I totally understand where you're coming with that. Is my grandparents were always kind of available,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not the same.
No, but as I've gotten older, I've realized, you know what I mean? I held a lot of resentments towards them, but knowing what I know now and being a parent myself, I could see that they were still trying to do their best and find themselves, you know what I mean, in
Yeah,
their wreckage.
they all did the best that
Yeah.
they could. They all did the best. So, 12 years old, kind of at that, how long did that last, that time of you and your dad?
About 2, 3 years on into 14. I hung out with him regularly. I would go over there, I would ride my bike, and I'd go down the street. It was only like 8 blocks away from my house, so I would ride my bike over there and hang out. And then when he moved into the house with his girlfriend at the time, I moved there and stayed there over the weekends and stuff like that. And then my mom moved back to town, and she moved 2 houses away from him.
So
And
everybody was in the neighborhood,
yeah, it
huh?
was just the
At least they
neighborhood
weren't
block
far.
party. Yeah.
So my question would be, was at that age, did you desire or want the cocaine or alcohol, or was it more the fact that this was the way I bonded with my dad, and so you just kind of kept doing it, or was there urges for it at that point?
Um, I don't really know. Like, I know that for me, it was normal. The crowd that I started hanging out with and the girls that I started getting close with, we all did some sort of thing. Like the
Mm-hmm.
town that I come from, North Platte, is very small. So most of the kids drink or do drugs for a pastime.
That was the
You know what I
activity
mean?
or
So that's what you
pastime.
did. And um, so, like, staying with my mom, 2 houses down, my mom had a lot of pills. And so we would steal her pills and we would get high on her pills. And um, there's days and nights that I remember we would get Xanax bars, like back when they were the bars, you know what I mean? The big ones. And we would like crush up, I don't know, like 5 or 6, and we'd just snort them together and then wouldn't remember the next day. And I could wake up with my mom yelling at me and just with this horrible hangover, like just wishing that she'd be quiet, you know what I mean? And knowing that I'm in trouble, but not caring because I had just had a crazy night and I just wanted to go back to sleep. But
So it was almost, you didn't really maybe, did you think there was anything wrong with it by doing that? Or was it because you seen parents or the environment and the kids and it was just,
I think a little of both. I knew in the back of my head that it was wrong. Um, but at the same time, everybody did it. So at that day and age, I was kind of like just following suit. Um, but I always kind of did my own thing at the same time. So it wasn't like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? I just
yep,
kind of I did it because it was there, it was available, and I really didn't have to look hard.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Like back in the day, man, you'd have to drive all over the place just
yeah,
to get something. At least I did back in the day. And so, yeah.
a lot of my family did drugs, so it was easy to get them. So it wasn't like it was hard to obtain.
So it was just available. It was part of everybody's lifestyle.
Hmm.
And so falling into it was just almost a norm
Yeah.
type thing. So then, um, 15, a few years with your dad, how did the living situation like with your mom? Did you just visit her, live with her from grandparents? Did you just kind of go back and forth? How did that?
So living with grandma and grandpa was really, he's a very good man, but he gets angry really easily and we would argue. And I wasn't the best kid. So, like, I got into a lot of arguments with them and started hating living there. And I wanted to go live with my mom because she let me do whatever I wanted to do, at the
Mm-hmm.
time, within reason. Um, and when I moved with my mom, at the beginning it was in Cozad, and she was in charge of, like, they had a strip club there. So she was in charge of the dancers there. And so she was busy with the bar while I was able to go and do my own thing. So it was easy to
And so
see
I'm
what
guessing your mom was probably what, 18 to 20? No, how
she
old
was.
was she? I don't.
She was in her 20s or 30s, early
Oh, okay.
30s,
Okay.
because I was 14. I don't do math very well, but
No, I
you know what
haven't
I mean?
calculated. Yeah, I don't either.
Something in there. She was young. She was fairly young.
And so had she been in this industry, how old were you when she started? Were you the 15, 16, and she was already,
She actually started doing it when she left, when I was little, a baby. She went out there and she got into the bar scene and dancing. And I remember going up there when I was in like third grade or second grade, and she would work nights or evenings. And I would sit on the counter and I would watch her do her makeup and just look at how beautiful she was, and like the glamour that came with how she would get dressed up so pretty and go to work, and then she'd come home, and you know what I mean? It was just,
and that was kind of my follow up. Is kind of like what your mind was going through, but
hmm,
you seen it
yeah.
is like makeup. Girls like makeup and
Hmm.
dress up pretty, and so it was just.
Yeah, it was a reason to go look glamorous, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's already gorgeous, so it was just like it enhanced her even more. And so um but being there as a teen, um it just made it all more my mom drank a lot
Mm.
back then, and she did her first share of drugs and things like that, uh, and I want to enhance, like, I don't put anybody down in my family for anything that happened, you know what I mean? Because they were going through their own struggles, but she would be doing her thing, and I would be at the neighbor's house across the way in Cozad, and when I moved with her is when I started doing meth, at about 13.
13?
13, yeah.
Holy
Because
smoke.
I
I
know.
mean, I'm not like, well,
Uh,
it happens. I
it
get it,
does.
but 13, I guess, I don't even know where I would have got it or thought about it right. I mean, I think I was probably 18
Yeah.
when I first tried back in the day. I think it was crank.
Mm-hmm.
And so, which is probably the same. It was some form of speed.
Yeah.
But it was always that older person,
Yeah.
someone who kind of introduced it, right?
Well,
And
the person that introduced me to it in Cozad was this girl named, I won't say her name, but
it's fine.
she lived right across the street, and she was in the same grade as me, but her mom smoked. And so she would get it from her mom, or the dealer would come over and they would give us some, you know what I mean, for us. It's kind of crazy because I never really ever had to pay for anything. It was always just there. And that kind of was like, I don't know, it's catch-22 because it was cool while it lasted, but sucked at the same time because it really enhanced my want for that fast life and the drugs. I mean, in Cozad, I was on in-school suspension for my whole 7th grade year, and then I got sick and I ended up getting expelled because I didn't do well, but they passed me anyway because they were just tired of having me there. I was like, yeah. So that 7th grade year in Cozad was kind of crazy, and that's when I moved to Glenwood with Grandma and Grandpa.
The thing is it is kind of hard for me to get my mind around this because it started so young.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's 15, 16, it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, or just pot, or just a beer, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So you're like 15 already. Now, when you get to the 18 point, right, you're kind of an adult now. Was the transition even more of what you were doing, or where did you kind of go from that point in the 18?
So everything got heavier as I got older. I stopped doing meth a little bit, but then at 18, it was full-blown addiction at that point. I think around my 18th birthday or a little after is when I started shooting up for the first time. And that's when life got really crazy.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it gives me goosebumps thinking about it.
So at that point, are you still around parents, living with parents, or are you okay? So you're not like on your own.
No, I was still living with my grandparents in North Platte. My grandpa had taken a job my 18th year, and him and grandma decided to travel together because he was on the road iron worker. So I was left to take care of the house. And I did no such thing on taking care of that house. I trapped it out and partied it up, and it was my sanctuary because people were kind of scared of my grandpa, but at the same time, like, I didn't take care of their space as much as I should have, and being 18, they thought they could trust me, and they thought that they could let me be an adult and take care of things, for them at the house, but I just kind of didn't do that, and I hate that, My grandma was on.
The influence of obviously the drugs or the
Yeah.
alcohol and that it comes with that territory. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you don't consider the consequences or other people. You're just kind of all about yourself getting high and the friends and the partying and
Mm-hmm.
that type of a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There was times where my grandma took vitamin B shots, and at that age I was taking her syringes. You know what I mean? So it got bad.
So that's yeah. So you kind of piece things together. For you couldn't probably go buy syringes somewhere. So is that kind of where
Mm-hmm.
that was your?
I didn't know you could at that time,
Oh,
so I would take them from her, or you know what I mean. But then, as I learned that the pharmacy would give you syringes, I would go to the pharmacy and I'd buy my own. And um, yeah,
I know you had talked about or mentioned that when your mom was working in the club, that you and your sister would help count money, and you guys
mm-hmm.
lived nearby.
Yeah,
What was that mind frame? I mean, this is kind of where I'm trying to. What kind of was it? Just so normal, or were you thinking, man, there's a lot of money. Oh, I want to try this, or you know, kind
it
of.
was almost glamorized, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
because even though, like, there was the main house, the bar, and then the little tiny shack in the back. And for the first part of the summer, almost like 9 months, we lived in that house, the little shack in the back. It was like a 2 room with a kitchenette and a bathroom. And it was small, smaller than a regular house, you know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
2 dancers and the bartender lived there, and then us kids. And that was when my sister was maybe a year or two old. And she could have been a little older, but she was still in a crib, you know? So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, she would bring home all this, all these dollar bills and fives and 20s, and we would count them. And um, it was just, I don't know, it felt normal. And it was like life was a party
Mm-hmm.
all the time,
Mm-hmm.
especially with my mom and like my dad. Like, it was always popping, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
something was going on.
Yeah.
It was never dull.
So there was some excitement.
Yeah, it was
Is
kind of
kind of
exciting. And
yeah.
I was, as I was 14 and 15 and 16, you know, I was like the one to take care of the house, because everybody would be wasted and I would be the one kind of taking care of things.
Mm-hmm.
My mom would tell me, she'd be like, get that person out of here. And I would be up to this biker guy, like, you're leaving. And he's looking at me like I'm freaking crazy. And because I'm like 5'0" and he's just, you know, it's
Yeah.
just like, for some reason they all listened. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it was just it was a fast paced lifestyle, and it was kind of just normal after a while. Like,
But you were using at this time as
yeah.
well, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. It's almost a blur, some of it, but at the same time, I remember the pieces, you know, that fit into
Mm.
like this puzzle piece goes
Mm-hmm.
here, and you know, like, uh, life was just kind of I always had this need to go fast
Mm.
or to slow down, you
Mm.
know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or to not think about something. Like, I never really wanted to deal with that,
At that time, or as you got older.
any pain, any emotional pain. I never really wanted to deal with, and you didn't really talk about it in my family. And from a young age, I had a lot of it. You know what I mean? I didn't know that's what it was, but I knew that I didn't like crying. I didn't like to feel sad. And drugs and alcohol made me happy.
And isn't that so? Now, I'm glad you brought that up because
Mm-hmm.
it seems like now that's where we tap into uh, the authentic self of what really happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's reasons for why he didn't want to get into these emotional feelings, right?
Yeah.
Now, whether you saw it growing up or not,
Yeah.
that is interesting how you figured that out at such a young age.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know why you didn't want to cry or didn't want to have to deal with these emotions?
I hated feeling bad.
And why? I mean, that's none of
Well,
us,
yeah.
like to feel, but you noticed that.
I knew as a teenager that I didn't want to be sad because I'd been sad so many times. Like for instance, my dad told me he would come back one day,
Mm.
and he didn't come back. And I sat in that window in the front of my grandparents' house and I waited for a whole day. And I cried. And I cried. And it hurt to know that he didn't come back for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that pain was enough to tell me, you know what I mean? I don't
Yeah.
like this feeling.
Yeah.
I'm not going to feel it.
And so, what took that sad feeling away? Did you know at the time that it was drugs that was going to help do that?
Not then. When I was little, no. But as I got older, I started experimenting, and then I figured it
kind of
out. Alcohol made me happy, and then meth made me happy, and then pills made me
something where it was more
forget.
consistent and
Yeah.
you didn't have to deal with all the emotional process to be happy or sad or whatever.
Yeah,
It just gave you that.
and I don't even think that I think I knew subconsciously that I didn't want to be sad, but at the same time I didn't put all that together completely until I got older.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's
Mm-hmm.
what it was,
Mm-hmm.
but I know now that's a big part of it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think what I've learned is that if we can go back as we're sober
Mm-hmm.
and we can go back and be that honest with ourselves, because a lot of people don't, even when they're sober,
Yeah.
or they work too much or they shop too much. There's a reason for all this stuff, but to be able to go back to that, that's where the healing begins.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think your journey as far as how you're, going now in your sobriety, no matter what that future is, you are dealing with it and you're dealing with it sober. And I think that is what's the healing becomes way stronger. And in that process, it doesn't become confusing. It's just kind of like you're willing to go back to that.
Right.
And that's huge. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Because that's, I mean, it was tough for me,
Mm-hmm.
to have to go back and deal with those things and go, no, I don't, you don't want to. And then I did. And that's where the healing process became
Yeah.
more successful, I guess, made us feel better. So then, at what age was there a tired of being tired moment of all this stuff? Or at what age was that you just kind of started to realize things maybe aren't as normal per se?
When I went to jail.
Oh, you've been to jail? No.
Mm-hmm. At 18, I went to jail for the first time. Possession of meth. And I don't know if I really thought it was enough. I just was pissed I got in trouble. But I tried it. I tried getting sober.
Was that just because you were in jail? Didn't have an option at that
Pretty
point?
much.
Okay.
I don't think that I know I wasn't willing because I went right back out after I got done with treatment.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got my first job as a dancer at the Foxy Lady.
Oh,
Right
really?
after,
Here in Lincoln?
Yeah, right after I got out of my treatment center, the secondary program, I walked downtown and I hated my desk job, answering phones and being on the computer, and I was like, I know how I can make money.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked in there and I asked for a job.
At this point, you didn't have a baby?
No.
Okay. No, because I think that sometimes single moms,
Mm-hmm.
they tend to fall into that.
Yeah.
Need the money immediately or quick money, and they got kids to take care of or kid, right?
That happened later.
And so then how long were you in the club business?
I was in the club business for about 2 years. I mean, on and off for about 4 or 5, but I went from dancing to escorting, and that's when I started making more money and the drugs got more intense and things got deeper.
Is that kind of the next step per se? You know,
Mm-hmm.
you dancing, and then how do you get introduced to escorting?
Well, I was introduced by a pretty lady with a card. She came into the bar and she came up to me and she said, "Hey, I'm having an after bar next door. If you want to stop by, here's my card. Um, I think you'd be interested in hearing what I have to say." And so I was never shy to go to a party, or
Mm-hmm.
to meet new people. I'm kind of a social butterfly. So I went and she told me about escorting company here in town, and I started becoming a dancer, for parties and such like that.
Is that what they call escort when you're outside the club and you go dance somewhere?
Home entertainment.
Okay. Sounds better. No.
Yeah.
And so, if you don't mind me asking,
Oh.
not only were there obviously drugs while you're doing this,
Hmm.
but do things escalate or is it just dancing? And you don't have to answer if you don't want, but I just.
At the beginning, it didn't. I was scared to do anything extra. And I don't know, I put my worth up pretty high.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it took a lot for me to
Yeah.
be able to say yes, you know what I mean, to
But
any sort of
that does
thing.
happen then. It's
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of so the dancing, then escorting, dancing it outside the club, and then
A lot of
other.
girls just do it for little, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whatever, they'll just do it. But I was very selective. I don't know I don't know if that means anything, but
Sure.
it wasn't going to be for nothing,
And so
you
you
know.
did it for like 2 years,
The
or is
day
that what you said? 2 years?
2 to 4, 2 to 4.
Oh, okay, so a little long.
Yeah.
So what was that age?
I got out of treatment when I was 19. Um, I was still doing it when I was 21 because I have pictures of me on my 21st birthday, staying with my friends at the house, and I knew I was still dancing and escorting then. Um,
And the
and
reason why the ages
yeah.
that and I do this with a lot of people, is because the age group nowadays,
Mm.
people think, oh, he's still 9, she's still 10, however it is. But these kids nowadays are so exposed to so many things so early.
Mm-hmm.
Pornography when I was 12 to 15,
Mm-hmm.
I, there it's magazines, the Playboy magazine, right?
Yeah.
Or the J.C. Penney catalogs. I'm serious. It's kind of like there wasn't what it is today. And anything that a kid, you give them a phone, that age,
Yeah.
6 years old, 7 years old, something, right?
Grand
That
Theft
first
Auto.
exposure,
Yeah.
it's so hard to get that out of their mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of why I go with these ages, because one, I've never had a guest who was 12 years old. And I'm so proud that you're here. And then you're doing better. So this is all behind.
Mm-hmm.
But then you're 19, 20, 21. Now you're just going into something different in a business of what? Stripper, escort.
Yeah.
So when I asked if you kind of got tired, you went to jail.
Yes, I went to jail. I went to jail and then got put into treatment. I think stuff got really hard at the end of like 21. I was feeling run down and I was tired, but I didn't know how to stop. I just knew I needed a rest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I ended up going to prison somewhere in there. I went in 2013. Yeah, 13, and then I got out in 2014. It was my second charge, possession of a weapon. I had a knife on me, but I was a girl in Lincoln by herself
Yeah.
doing what I was doing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like,
That would have been normal.
yeah, it was normal for me to have
Yeah.
that, and felons can't
Protection.
have knives. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I went to prison for that. When I got out, I really tried for the first couple, like the first month, I tried really hard to stay sober, but the girl that I was dating at the time didn't, and she hurt me a lot emotionally, mentally, and I just fell straight back into it.
Now, this hurt,
Yeah.
this emotional that you went through with her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did that at all trigger from even when you were young,
I'm
waiting by that window, and then all of a sudden this? What did you do? You said you got worse?
I went and got a beer one night, and I was on parole, so I'm really surprised I didn't get in trouble on parole, but I never did.
Yeah, there was your piss test and all that
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
like everything. I was lucky, I guess, in a way, maybe. I don't know if it was luck or just dumb luck. But I went and got drunk one night because she hurt me really bad. I found out that she had been cheating on me the whole time I was gone, which wasn't anything new. Everybody's cheated on me in my life, so it wasn't a big deal like that. But like just, I got sad and I was like, fuck this, I'm drinking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it was like, she had it, so she had drugs, so I did them. You know what I mean? And when you smoke and then you go from smoking to shooting, it kind of, you can't just go back to smoking. Like, and it sucks because your body's, like, for me anyway, like, I was so tolerant because I'd done so much.
Is there like an ultimate and a mediocre? And you were at the ultimate on that. Shooting up, I guess, is what I'm saying. When someone shoots up, it's kind of like that escalates things. Yeah. That's a whole different level.
I mean,
and then compared to just smoking a joint, right?
Right.
There's a big difference.
It's a kind of a tier thing, but I started shooting again because the smoking, I think I smoked for like 2 weeks and then it didn't do anything anymore. So I was like not getting the effect I wanted to. So I just went back to banging, and
How long did that last?
that lasted until I think it lasted for about a year.
So you were like, what, 22, 23?
Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first experience in jail, you mentioned treatment center. When was that, or was that?
2012.
12, okay.
11 to 12. And then I got out, and then 13 I went to jail a couple times for here and there things, and then I went to prison in 2013 and got out in 14. And
so you were in prison for 2 years?
no, I was only in prison for 6 months.
Oh,
I got a year
okay.
bid, and they gave me 6 months in prison, and then I got out. So it wasn't very long enough to know I didn't want to go back.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, like I said, I think it was a year, so I was in for 6 months. And yeah, that experience is totally different. I mean, if we feel I say normal, but there's not a normal society, but if we're out here in society that we can't trust or we got to be careful.
Oh, yeah.
Multiply that times 100, and that's what prison's like.
Your safety's at risk every minute.
all the time.
Yeah.
You know, you sleep, you hopefully sleep when everybody sleeps.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I get it. There's naps or what, because you got nothing to do all day,
Yeah.
you know, except play basketball or burpees, whatever it was, you know.
Don't piss anybody off.
Yeah. I really tried not to do that.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
Don't set
and
down
then
a,
again, you can't be the nice person
no.
because then you can just get taken advantage of.
Mm-hmm. There was an old lady that was in my D&E cell with me, and I remember this really, really well. She was braiding my hair, and she told me, she pulled my head up, and I looked up at her, and she goes, "Don't ever sit down at a table and play cards unless you know what's happening." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she was like, "You just don't do it, because somebody always wants something. There's always a catch." You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So unless you have the commissary or the what it is they want or the money,
The motive
you know,
is never good.
you have to be careful. So I
Yeah.
just kind of stuck to myself.
So I have a question. You know,
Yeah.
you've experienced abuse, manipulation, jail, exploitation. Excuse me. What do you think people misunderstand most about women caught in addiction in the sex industry?
I think that's a loaded question.
Well,
But
you know,
yeah.
where I come from is it's one of those things that sometimes they just don't understand that option sometimes is no other option sometimes. Oh, yeah, you
Yeah.
can go here, you can do this and go do that. Well, you're getting $12 an hour, $14 an hour.
Right.
Well, if you're making 700,000 a night and you know now your kid is taken care of, you know you're taken care of.
Yeah.
There's a misunderstanding. You know what I mean?
There is on the money side of it, I went to a couple job places, and it was like you said, you know, and back then it was only $10 for an hour, you know, and I'm going to a call and I'm not doing anything pretty much except for sitting there talking to these people and walking around and whatever, you know what I mean, and giving them attention, and I'm making 1,000 to 3,000 depending on what you know what I mean, what happens, and that's in a couple hours.
Was there something about that industry that you felt self-fulfillment from?
Yeah, you feel a sense of power because you control, you know what I mean, your body, your what you allow, what your and that sounds terrible, but your net worth of your body and your time.
And so did you ever not feel, because of family, friends around you, that you didn't have that sense of control? Was other people always controlling you, or what was it that when you got to that you like, oh, you felt that control and power and money?
I think just in my family, and I won't mention who, but there was a woman that I look up to a lot, and she was talked down to a lot, and so was I. And being able to control what people say to me or how they approach me or how I'm looked at, because it wasn't like I walked out in a bustier and this mini skirt. I dressed professional, you know, and knowing that they're calling for me, not for, you know, an object or something like that, or a piece of whatever. They want me to be there. And then that on the emotional side of it, it's gives you a sense of worth or like you're wanted. And for women, I think that most of us that get into that industry have family issues, and we have mommy daddy issues, you know what I mean, or abandonment issues, and being an escort or whatever, it almost masks it, but at the same time,
There's not healing in it. There's just,
none.
like you said, it just
None.
masks it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because it really kind of stems from that, things that we need as a kid. And this is the reason I bring this up, is because the whole parenting thing nowadays, and the kids nowadays, the kids, no matter what, need to be directed, sometimes scolded. They need to have regimen. They need to have all this, because that's what they really need and want.
But most of all is love,
Oh yeah,
of love. And
100%.
to know that they're not shunned for what they want or what they did, you know what I mean? And to really, something I tried to do with my son is to really let him know that I was still there. I'm not mad at you. I may be upset with you, but I'm not mad at you. I understand you had an outburst for a reason, but we have to work through it.
And so that leads me up to my next question, is because becoming a mom changed your world.
Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit about your, what was it that changed?
Well, I met my husband. I had gotten kicked off drug court, and I met him, and we were together for about 2-3 months, and we got married. I was facing 7 years, and I got probation. I got kicked off drug court, and they gave me probation. They had never done that to anybody before, and I was horrible. I can't even believe they did it. You know, I didn't do anything to make them think that I would do anything different, you know, except for tell them that, listen, I get it, Judge.
Yeah.
And then when I had gotten married, 2 months, we got married in April. I was pregnant in June. And I took 3 pregnancy tests. And I looked at those tests, and my life changed. I made a promise to myself, to my son, and to God, that I was going to do everything in my power to make sure he didn't grow up the way I did. And I tried really hard for a long time.
And that's that, struggle to do that. Because sometimes we aren't rooted properly.
Yeah.
And so now we're in a situation where we have kids, and now we're coming to the table with the best that we know how, and sometimes it's still not good enough.
Yeah.
Because of history, right?
Right.
And so when we were talking about this earlier, that generational change is real tough. And what I find tough about it is it's that layers of, you take the top layer off, and now you're working with the second layer and the second, and then when you really get down to it, it's caution to everybody as far as how you react, what you say, and be careful type of a thing. So he is how old now?
He's 8 now.
8. Wow.
He just turned 8 on the 21st of February.
Oh, 8 years old is active.
He's all over the place.
And so when you say that you don't want to raise him, let's just say like you were, right? What would you suggest to women in your situation that helps them to where they don't fall into the trap of how that pattern, a generational pattern, if that makes sense? And I know you mentioned love, and that is key. That is key. I get that.
My grandparents always told me they loved me more than once a day, you know, and I felt like as he grew up, I always told him how much I loved him, how much he meant to me. He saved me. You know what I mean? You are the best thing in the world. As he was growing up and started talking, even before he would talk, I would tell him, I'd put him in the mirror and I'd say, "You're smart, you're handsome, you're brave, you're all the things." And as he got older, he would recite it with me. He hated it sometimes when he was really mad in the mornings. He didn't want to get up for school, but I would tell him, "Tell me the things." And he would say, "I'm smart, I'm brave, I'm handsome, I'm all the things."
Affirmation.
All the time.
And it seems like even the sober community, even the ones struggling, affirmation is so huge.
Yeah.
And it really does come down to that love.
Yeah.
I mean, if and I tell this to parents, if you don't look them in the eye,
Mm-hmm.
give them a hug, tell them you love them, that right there will carry weight for a long time.
Yeah.
Even if you consistently do it, well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, sometimes it doesn't happen, right?
Right.
And so when he's 12, and when he's 15, and he's 16, he's gonna say those exact things, Tesla. And you establishing that in his mind, and he knows that his mom feels that and says that is huge.
Yeah.
So good for you.
Thanks.
Because that's, like I said, it's tough when we don't come from a family who does that, right?
Yeah.
That's real tough. And it sounds like the change, the past, and where you're at today is really giving him a stronger sense of stability than what we had. Am I correct?
A little.
A little?
I tried to give him as much stability as I could. I feel like I did a good job. He's a good boy, he's very polite, he's very respectful. He says, I'm sorry. He says, excuse me. He opens the door for people. All the things that a little gentleman, a little gentleman should do. I wish I could have taught him more, because, as I've told you, I don't have him anymore.
Mm-hmm. But you still see him.
Yes.
You still have that opportunity, and
Yeah.
You've heard this before, I'm sure, but he is young.
Yeah.
He is so young, and he will absorb everything his mom gives him. Yeah. And that's all that's important. We make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
We still make mistakes every day. Even people who aren't even in a program, or just life in general.
Yeah.
And sometimes we brush it off and don't even realize it. But if you have that opportunity to still see him, mm-hmm. he sees mom.
I take every opportunity with him I can.
And what you're not doing, and I don't believe that you are, is that you're not letting him sit by that window like you did.
Never.
You see? So there's your change. And that's what he won't see. There may be gaps or times mm-hmm. that he won't, but other than that, everything that you do, continue to give yourself confidence in that. Because it's too easy for our minds to run off that other direction. It's way too easy, because everybody does it. This podcast, just because it's on addiction, doesn't always mean it's about drugs, sex, and alcohol. This is about emotions. This is about mental thinking, how we carry, how we go forward with things, and to make it better. Yeah. And if he sees that, and he does, he knows his mom loves him. That's what that, and with boys, sometimes it's okay. They understand, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes they don't always need that mom right there by the side.
No.
But he knows you love him, and he knows that you are. If you tell him, I'm doing the best I can, those things which I'm sure you are, mm-hmm. that's what he needs. It's all that matters.
Yeah.
Mom loves him, right? So, not to change things a little bit, but it kind of sounds like that you are also possibly seeing a little bit of jail time again mm-hmm. from something in the past.
Yeah.
How does a mom go about that process with this young boy? Will he know? Does he know? Will you share it with him? How does that look to you?
My son and I don't have secrets. Never have. I've always looked at raising him, and I've looked through my adolescent eyes as how I felt as a kid, because I didn't want those feelings to fall onto him, because I knew how it felt, you know what I mean, to be lied to or to not be told the whole truth or whatever the case may be. So yes, he does know. He knows that mom messed up this time and that I will have to be gone for a little while. But one thing I've ingrained in him is I'm not going to be gone for long, and I'm not going anywhere, and you can't get rid of me. I'm always going to be there for you. I said, and I told him a while back, actually, when I got arrested this last time, the cops had me in handcuffs, and my kids were there. My kid was there, unfortunately. And I yelled at the cop, and I said, "Put my cuffs in front of me." And he got mad at me, and I said, "Put my cuffs in front of me. I need to parent my son until someone's here to take care of him." And when he did that, my son was scared, of course, because I'm in handcuffs.
Yeah.
But I sat down on the ground, and I put him in my lap, and I put the cuffs over top of him, and I held him as close as possible, and I kissed him on his forehead, and I said, "Mom messed up. I'm sorry. I'm going to go for a while, but I'm not going forever, and I will be back for you, and I will do better next time. I'm sorry you have to see this. I'm sorry that I didn't do a good job this time, but I'm going to be better, and I will be back. I won't ever leave you. Not for long."
That's what he needed to hear.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that a lot of times when we are in this situation, there are people that, I always use the word normal, but it's not normal, but people
Right.
in everyday life that make mistakes, they don't take that opportunity.
No.
They're still drinking in front of their kids.
Yeah.
They're having these big parties on football game days and whatever. But they are truly in some way making mistakes. Your mistake was just kind of a little deeper situation and you had to go to jail or whatever it be. But it's when we don't take care of it at that moment. Yeah. Then that child is thinking, man, where is mom? What's going on?
Right. I
And
didn't
so,
want him to think that way.
So what you've done, again, that's 3 or 4 kudos so far. Man, you're doing great, right?
Thanks.
No matter what you're facing. And the one thing that I wanted to ask is, if you could sit across the table with a 12-year-old version of you, what would you say to her? And here's one thing: when I was in treatment, we had to bring a baby picture of ourselves. I was 6 years old in this picture. And they said, "Look at that picture. What would you say to that boy? What would you say to that little Eric?" But kind of, what would you say to yourself?
I would tell her, "You're smart, you're beautiful, and you're brave. You're all the things, and you can do anything you put your mind to, no matter what life throws at you. But while you're doing it, love yourself first. You don't need validation from anybody else in life. people will tell you you do, but you don't. You just need to know that you are the shit and you can do anything you put your mind to. And fuck the rest.
Yeah. And so, hypothetically,
Yeah.
if you were told that at 12 from your mom, your dad, where would you be today? It's hard to say, it's hypothetical, but
I
you
don't
see
know.
what I'm trying to get at for people to see is that these things that you just said, things that we need to hear even as adults, is some type of encouragement, inspiration, that motivation.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do, and we need to do that with kids. Start them young.
Yeah.
Because if we start them young with the wrong things, guess what? Wrong things are going to be the result, and then the result, there's consequences, right? And so, yeah.
You know, you asked me earlier, was there ever a time where I got tired? This last time I got tired, I didn't want to start using when I started using this last time.
Mm-hmm.
I had no intention on getting back into what I did. Kicking my husband out was like the tip of the iceberg. He was an alcoholic, and I was trying to stay sober. I was California sober for a while, but you know, I wasn't doing hard drugs. I wasn't drinking like crazy, but I was not happy, and I was beat down a lot. And I was with him for 8 years, you know, and when I went back, it was for the same thing again, because I was sad.
Wanted to be happy again.
Yeah,
or
or not
to
feel
not
it.
feel it. There you go.
Yeah, and so, you know, it was never my intention on putting my son through what I did this time, you know, because like I said, I made him a promise, and I broke it.
We've all done that.
Yeah, it's just a big one. You know, I told myself I'd never lose my kid, I'd never do this, and the whole time I'm getting high this time around, it only took a year to lose him, my house, my freedom, and my sanity. It took a while to get all that back, and I don't have all of it, and I won't have all of it, you know what I mean, until...
How sober, how many months or years are you sober? I don't know.
I have 8 months. I will have 9 months on the 8th of March.
Okay. And 9 months sober, what does that feel like?
It's a milestone.
Need that support group?
Oh, I don't stop getting support group people in my life. When I was in residential treatment, I made sure to get everybody's phone number I could. Because I knew not only do I need the support, but I need friends.
Yeah.
I'm a social person. I'm not somebody that can just sit in their room and doom scroll, you know what I mean, on their phone and be a happy-go-lucky person. I'm too outgoing for that, and I need social interaction with people, and I need to be able to release the inside to someone. That's why I got a sponsor early. You know, I had a sponsor in residential. I got one right away because I knew I needed it, and now I have tons of support from people in the community that go to my meetings, that go to church, you know, whatever the case. I've made friends in this new life that I've created.
Yeah.
And it's awesome because, like, when I went to court last time, I got tired of answering my phone. Is that sad or what? Like, and it's a good thing because
it's a good thing.
I had so many people calling me and messaging me, how did it go? Are you okay? What happened? Tell me how you're feeling. And I answered everyone. You know what I mean? I answered it, all the people I could. It's a 3-hour drive back from North Platte, so I had time, you know, and
a lot of people cared about you, right?
Yeah. And it's good to see because I've made tons of mistakes in life, but I know today, I'm 34 now, I'll be 35 in April, and I never thought then that I would be where I'm at now.
Yeah.
At 18, I didn't think that I was going to make it 5 more years. People would ask
living
me.
in that lifestyle. Huh?
No, people would ask me all the time, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I'm like, dead. Or not here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, but something in the back of my mind always told me that I was meant for something else.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know what that was.
And I think what people don't realize who are in addiction and get out of addiction, how powerful they are and what they can do, because it's a new beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And I can guarantee you, I'm going on 6 years sober.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations.
And thanks. And I tell you what, that first year looks a lot different than 6 years. And it's not about counting days, months, years. I just know when I went to treatment and decided to quit July 20, that when I look back at that first year, and the reason I share this is because what your process is right now,
Mm-hmm.
as you get more under your belt, you're gonna just thrive is the word, because you will. Your kid, I don't know if I want to share his name, but I'll just your boy.
Yeah.
You will get him back in your life, and things will they just do. That's part of what sobriety does. It clears our mind. We make better decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Our goals, we achieve them.
Yeah.
And so, that your story is powerful. And I'm so glad that you took time to share it. And I'm sure there's many more. A lot of times with even an hour and a half, we can never get important details, but we try to scratch the surface so that people understand and see that no matter what, we can get through it with proper channels.
Yeah.
And that the support is huge. Yeah. Love is huge. And
finding a program that works for you is huge. Something that you can follow. For me, it's SMART Recovery, the 12 steps, God, my understanding of God.
mm-hmm.
Not everybody's understanding, but my understanding of who God is. And just, they say it's cliche, but those steps for me, like putting them into my daily life works. And living by them and not being a hypocrite, not looking at the world black and white, just being open and being kind.
Yeah. And this, when you mentioned God, I believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that my advice would be that there is no love like God's love.
Mm-hmm.
And until someone looks into it that way,
right,
that's something that nobody else can ever give you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for someone listening right now who feels stuck, they're in addiction, abusive relationships, or shame, what do you want them to know?
I've been through all of it. I live with shame and guilt every day. You can't stay there, though. Because the moment you stay there, I don't know who believes in this or not, but there's dark forces that are trying, to get at us and make us feel bad about ourselves every day.
Wouldn't we call that the devil?
Devil or whatever your concept on life is, you know what I mean? But there's something, about fighting that and really putting your best foot forward. You don't have to stay there. And just because I, myself, made mistakes. I'm not those mistakes. I'll never be just that. That isn't a label on me. My past does not define me. And neither does theirs. You know, you could be in a room and your man or woman, whoever's out in the living room, and you know that you're scared to leave. But the second that you realize that they're more scared of losing you or the control they have on you than you are of them leaving them, the easier it'll be for you to just get out. And I've never been a cop caller, but I think if I would have gotten the help that I needed when I was being abused or whatever, I wouldn't have as much problem today. Like, it would have ended sooner.
Yeah.
You know, if I would have got the restraining order, if I would have done something different instead of letting us live in it. You know, it would have been
So don't be
different.
afraid to reach out for help.
No, ask for help. Ask for help as much as you can. You're not a broken record. You know, I, for a long time, thought I was a broken record talking about my relationship or my life and my hard times. And I felt like, you know, nobody wanted to hear it anymore, but I was just talking to the wrong people.
Yeah, 100% right. Well said. And like I said, you know, we're kind of toward the end of the podcast, but it, again, what I want people to hear and see is that this one was interesting for me because 12 years old,
Yeah.
and I have a daughter. Yeah, I tried to hold back some tears because that's tough. So I congratulate you. You are successful, and there's nothing less about that. To have gone what you've gone through, and to be at where you're today, no matter what you're facing, you're conquering it. Your son knows that. He sees that. But yeah, I really appreciate you telling your story. And what will happen is I hope a lot of people see this.
Yeah.
And it gives them some encouragement to overcome. If it's sobriety, if it's faith, if it's trusting again, whatever it be, I think for sure you're helping this journey that I'm on with this podcast, because that's my goal, is to make sure that people at least hear a story. We plant a seed.
Yeah.
And so anytime you want to be on the podcast, bring someone with you, whatever it be, you're more than welcome.
I'd love that. I'd love to come back.
So I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any last words?
Just know that you're the shit and you can do anything you put your mind to.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Thank you for joining us, Redeeming the Time podcast. And I'm your host.
Sunrise through these prison bars, cold and hollow light. Remember broken promises, the endless wasted nights, selling pieces of my soul for a quick and dirty gain. Left a trail of wreckage, soaked in sorrow